Okay guys, take 7. Hey guys, Marissa here, long time no see, and if you are somehow still watching this channel, if you somehow remembered me and clicked on this video, thank you so much, and I hope you are doing well. Let me know in a comment down below what you guys have been up to. So it's been approximately 3 or 4 months since I last posted a video here on the channel, which I will say was pretty much unintentional. As I've mentioned in pretty much all my videos this year, life has just been a little crazy. I'm sure I'm not the only one who's had a very eventful year. And my current motto is actually like February 2020 or bust, because I think that's when things are gonna finally be a little bit calmer. And on top of life just being busy and a little bit crazy, I also have not been reading like at all this year. So as a creator that always considered myself not just like a YouTuber generally, but basically a booktuber, I was really like thrown off by the fact that I wasn't reading, because I didn't know what kind of content I could make if I didn't have books to talk about. And anyways, I kind of just let the YouTube channel, booktube channel, fall on the back burner for a little bit. But this past month in September, I turned 28, and I decided to use it as a bit of a refresh moment to reprioritize and make sure that I'm making time to do things that actually make me happy. And making videos is definitely something that makes me happy. So while I can't promise that I will always be consistent with videos, I can't promise that my video quality will be as good as it has been in the past, or even as well thought out as it has been in the past, I do want to make a concerted effort to at least put like a couple videos up a month. I think that's like a relatively safe goal. I've also just been really bad about watching booktube videos as well, so I'm trying to get back into that. So if I start commenting on some of your really old videos, you know why? It's because your girl's trying to catch up. Anyways, to just kind of ease back into things, I thought I would go ahead and do a September roundup video, which if you are new to the channel, or if you've just forgotten because I've been AWOL for so long, was a video that I did a lot in 2018. A roundup video is basically a catch-all video where I talk about things like the content I've been creating, the things I've been doing, any life updates, and then like favorites. So let's go ahead and just jump right into it. Normally I would start off with the content that I've been creating, but obviously I haven't been doing much of that this year, though I will quick plug my Instagram, because if I am like active anywhere right now, it's on Instagram. So if I go a little silent on here again, but you want to find out what I'm up to, Instagram is probably the best place to do that, and my profile is always linked in the description box below. But since we're not really talking about content creation, I thought instead I would do something I don't normally do in my roundup videos and just talk about what I'm currently reading, which isn't a lot, like I said, but I am kind of slowly picking my way through a few things. First of all, I of course have had an audiobook going. That's probably the thing I've been reading most consistently this year, and it's actually the audiobook version of the Mueller report. Now, I know you're like, why is that the one thing that you've been reading, especially if you've been busy? Because I know a lot of people are trying to like lean away from the news this year. I've been fully leaned in. I've been obsessed with like political news, political podcasts. You guys know this. If you watched me last year, it's not gotten any better. The obsession is still real. And I actually really wanted to read the Mueller report for myself, because I feel like it's one thing to have a bunch of talking heads on the news tell you what they think about it, but I find that news these days is so opinion driven that I really wanted to read it myself. And I have to say it's actually quite readable. It's really, really long. It's like 48 hours long. So because I haven't been sitting down in like big chunks to listen to it, it's definitely taken me many, many months to get through. I've just been listening in like half hour, 45-minute snippets here and there. But it's actually quite readable if you can get past the brief sections where they just list a bunch of government code at you. Those are a little rough, but I have actually been enjoying that. I have like 2.5 hours left, so that should probably be finished up in the next like week or so. Then another book I have been very, very slowly picking my way through is Lipstick Jihad, a memoir of growing up Iranian in America, an American in Iran by Azadeh Moaveni. This is something I picked up way back in, gosh, was it June? I picked this up for the Read the Middle East readathon that was either in May or June, sometime back in the spring. And it is not bad. I just haven't been reading a bunch, so it's been taking me a very long time. I'm still only about there. I will say the chapters are quite long, so maybe that's why I feel like I'm not making any progress. But it's really well written. If you are a fan of literary fiction and you are trying to get into nonfiction, I would highly recommend this memoir in particular. Again, I haven't finished it, so I can't say whether it's like my favorite memoir of all time or anything like that, but I find that the writing style is very similar to literary fiction. So if you are looking for kind of like a gateway nonfiction, this might be something to consider. And then in September, I finally decided to kick off my own presidential biography challenge. Now, I'm sure other people have taken this challenge before, and I will explain how mine has a little bit of a spin on it in a minute or two. But this is basically the idea of reading a biography, or at least one biography, of every single president that we've had here in the United States. 3 or 4 years ago, I found this really great blog where the blogger was reading through a bunch of different presidential biographies, and I checked back like a month ago, and he's still going. Like, he is what, 3, 4, 5 years into this process, and he is still reading different presidential biographies and then ranking them for each president, as in like, this is the most detailed, this is the most basic beginner, this is great if you want a 1-volume biography, that sort of thing. So I'm using his blog kind of as my guideline for picking biographies. I think when someone spent that long specifically reading these kinds of books, you can obviously trust them as a pretty good resource. So if you're interested in starting your own presidential biography challenge, I will link his blog down below in the description box. Obviously, I'm going to be reading about these presidents in chronological order because, quite frankly, I don't see why you would do it any other way. So obviously, we've got a biography of George Washington to start, and this is Washington, A Life by Ron Chernow. I decided to go with this one again based on that blog I just talked about. He had a very convincing review as to why this was a great one. I also really liked that this is a full cradle to grave biography. Some just focus specifically on like his presidential years or his military years, and I wanted something all encompassing. That being said, when it came in the mail, I was like, oh dear, I've made a mistake. Including all of the notes and reference materials in here, this is about 904 pages, which is really, really intimidating to pick up when you are not reading a ton. However, I basically flew through the first through the preface and then the first chapter of this. The writing is very accessible, it's really interesting, and it's detailed enough without being, without feeling like you're stuck in the weeds too much. So I have really, really enjoyed this so far. I'm really looking to continue this, and I hope that this this is indicative of the quality of all the biographies I'll read. It probably won't be, but I'm really, really glad I started off with this one. Now, like I said, I am going to be putting my own spin on this biography challenge because I don't want to just read a biography of every president, because that's not hard enough. I also want to read a book written by every single president. Now, obviously, I'm not sure how easy this is going to be for certain eras of presidents. I'm assuming I can get my hands on some of their writing, whether it's through my local library, through my local university library, which I have access to through my dad, thanks Dad, or through like online sources. But I just thought it would be really an interesting way to get a more fully rounded picture of a president. I'm sure that will get increasingly easy as I get into the more modern presidents, as it seems to be fairly typical that politicians who are considering running for president write what a lot of pundits call as their like election book, or their pre-election book, something that really showcases their leadership and their ideals and policy ideas and all of that. I'm sure, once we get into the more modern presidents, I will have a wide variety of books to choose from. When it comes to George Washington, I am going to be reading a little tiny book that I actually already own, and I've skimmed through but never read cover to cover, and that's George Washington's Rules of Civility and Decent Behavior in Company and Conversation, with an introduction by Letitia Baldridge. Now, fun fact, what I just read in his biography let me know that these rules aren't necessarily George Washington's original ideas. He actually copied a lot of these out of different civility guides. Not all of this is like 100% Washington's original thought, but he did copy these out by hand as a form of calligraphy practice, and he lived by most of these very, very strictly. So I think this will be very interesting, and I think it'll be a nice complement to the massive biography. Likewise, I just had like 2 things I wanted to share with you guys. The first of which is that one of my best friends got married this Labor Day, and it was a beautiful ceremony. It was up in Marin County here in California, and I was actually part of the wedding party, so I don't have any of our like fancy photos yet, but I can insert one of all the bridesmaids here. I think we were pretty pretty cute looking group. You guys know I suffer from a little bit of social anxiety, so going into meeting the rest of the bridal party was really nerve-wracking for me, but I was so lucky. It was the sweetest group of girls. Half of them I actually already knew. Some of them were other best friends from college, and some were just, you know, older acquaintances that I got to kind of reconnect with. And it was a really, really fantastic experience. And Christine, who got married, she is, like I said, one of my best friends, and she's like, if anybody deserves to have the happy ending that she ended up getting, it's totally her. She is one of those people that will go above and beyond to make other people feel comfortable, to really do her best to be there for you. And it was just really, really nice to get to celebrate her and her new family. It was also really nice because, like I said, some of the other bridesmaids were friends from college, and some of the other wedding guests were friends from college, and I hadn't seen most of them in about 3-4 years because I hadn't gotten to go back up to the Bay Area in a while. And yeah, it was just really nice to reconnect. A lot of us have completely spread, so like a couple of us are here in California, north and south. Some live in New York, some now live in like the south of the country. So it was just nice to get everybody together in one place, and it really made me wish that I lived closer to those friends, because while I have new friends down here and old friends from high school, it really made me nostalgic for my college days. Then the other big thing that happened in September, I already kind of talked about, and that was that I had my 28th birthday, which is crazy because I don't know. I mean, I don't not feel 28, but I definitely don't feel as old as I thought I would feel when I used to think about turning 28, if that makes sense. I've heard from some people that 28 can actually be a kind of rough birthday because you realize that you're not really in your 20s anymore and you're close to 30, and that freaks some people out. But honestly, I feel great. And I don't want to sound like I'm bragging or anything, but I genuinely feel like every year I've gone through, I've become a better version of myself, which is really exciting because I don't think I felt like that in high school, and I kind of felt like that a bit in college, but now that I'm like out and a real adult or whatever, says the girl in her like Spider-Man t-shirt. Now that I'm out in the world just living my life, I genuinely feel like every year I'm getting better at this thing that we call living and existing in the world and interacting with other people. I feel so much more confident in myself than I've ever felt before in my life, whether that's to do with like my physical body, whether that's to do with really genuinely feeling confident in the fact that I know what I'm doing and that I'm good at my job. I genuinely have this feeling of like, I'm here world, and I'm strong and I'm confident, which I've never had before, and it's great. So in my opinion, so far, things get better with age. Okay, and I've actually been talking forever, and I'm supposed to be going to run some errands. So quickly, I want to share with you guys a few favorite things that I have been enjoying lately. Because that's what a favorite is. That was a really redundant way to start this segment. I got a new pair of shoes for my birthday, which I'm very happy with. I requested these specifically. These are the Vans, I want to say it's Ultra Range Rapid Wear design. I will link them in the description box below in case I named them wrong. And these are actually the kids version because I wear a size like 2.5 little kids. But never fear, if you like the look of these, they do come in adult sizes. So these are really breathable. It's like a mesh, and they have their Ultra Cush like memory foam, really, really light sole. So if you are getting older like me and you can no longer wear super flat shoes all the time, these are a great, very stylish option. They come in a lot of different colors. Next random favorite is something that I am calling evening pages. Now I'm not going to show them to you because obviously that's personal, but this is the thing I'm writing in right now. I'm just using all of my old notebooks. I'm trying to be a little bit less precious about notebooks because there's no point in buying them if you're not going to use them. Evening pages is a practice I have started that I adopted kind of from morning pages, which is a practice that the what's her name, Eileen from Lavender here on YouTube, she's got a fantastic kind of personal development channel, which you should definitely check out if you have not already. Again, we'll link her down in the description box. Eileen has this amazing practice called morning pages, where in the morning she sits down and just stream of consciousness journals for like 3 pages. And I have taken that basically and turned it into evening pages because I'm just a terrible morning person, and realistically, I will never get up with enough time to give myself time to journal. I also find for me, it's way more effective if I journal right before bed because then I can dump any craziness that's going on in my head out onto paper, and then I sleep better. I wake up feeling rested in the morning, and I feel like if I've written down what I'm worried about, I then don't have to worry about it the next day, if that makes sense. So far, I found it to be a really great way to get back into journaling, and I found it to be very mentally helpful as well. Okay, and then the last thing I want to show you guys is actually really heavy, because this, I feel weird showing this to you guys, but this is my new weighted blanket. Now, I have heard about weighted blankets for quite a while now. Sometimes people say if you just have general anxiety, it can be really good to like put a big weight on you. I got it specifically because I had really bad vertigo over the summer, and my doctor recommended that I start sleeping on my back because part of my vertigo issue was like my sinuses weren't draining properly and blah, blah, blah. Anyways, I'm supposed to start sleeping on my back so that I'm a little elevated and like everything can drain properly, but I am a stomach sleeper by nature. I like having pressure against like my stomach and my core when I sleep. And so my doctor recommended, when I told her I was having a hard time sleeping on my back, she goes, "Hey, have you ever thought of trying a weighted blanket?" And I was like, yeah, I mean, I guess, but like, I don't know if that the kind of thing would work for me. But my mom took pity on me basically for my birthday and decided to buy me a 10-pound weighted blanket. I guess the idea is you're supposed to go with like 10%-ish of your body weight should be the weight of the blanket that you buy. But this is like the perfect amount of pressure. I literally, even when it's hot, I've been sleeping with it. I just like kind of fold it up slightly and just drape it literally just across my middle. And I could never fall asleep on my back before, and now I'm just like out. I'm just out, and I don't move it around as much. I don't feel as restless. I feel like just the whole feeling of being pressed down is very soothing, which is not something I ever had noticed about myself. But it genuinely, I mean, it honestly genuinely works. I will say this is not one with like cooling technology. So if you are looking into getting one for yourself, I would highly recommend getting one with cooling technology because it does make me quite warm. But the benefits of being able to fall asleep and like stay asleep and stay comfortable are far greater to me than like getting a little toasty. So I'm gonna just stick with this one, but I thought I would mention that for you guys in case you're looking into getting one as well. And while I've never used it when I'm having like an anxiety day, I might go ahead and try it the next time I'm feeling anxious and see if that works, but that's just not what I personally am using it for, so I can't speak to its effectiveness in that area. That is everything I wanted to talk to you guys about today. I literally have like almost 45 minutes worth of footage, so hopefully I can edit this down into something actually viewable. But thank you guys so much for watching. If you have made it through this whole video, if you've enjoyed my rambling, hopefully some of you missed this. And like I said at the beginning of the video, I cannot promise you guys I will have a video up in any specific time frame, but I'm going to give it the good old college try. So thank you so much for watching. I think this is how I end the video. I hope you're having a fantastic day, and I will see you next time. Bye. Can we also just talk about how long my hair has gotten? Ugh, I'm shedding everywhere.